All right, let's dive in. Thank you everybody for joining. We're here to talk about collecting payments and how text messaging and text requests and Authvia can work together to help you do that. I'm just going to go ahead and start off, share my screen. We're going to go through kind of a bit of a casual slide deck. Intros will be included in that. If you aren't familiar with text request or with Authvia yet, we'll cover exactly who we are and what we do as well. So share my screen. All right, so here's what we're doing today, of course, collect payments by text. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, what we're going to cover, who we are. We're going to talk about what payments is exactly, what is TexttoPay, why text at all. Again, if you're already a customer, hopefully you get this, but if you're new to this, why does it matter that you use text as a medium, and why would you even want to consider changing up some of the things you do, perhaps through direct mail or email, to text messaging. We'll cover some of that. Why use payments, of course. And then the fun part, the biggest part, I'm going to show you an actual demo of how the feature works, how you can do this yourself. It's actually really easy to set up and to get going with. So excited for that. And then, we are going to try to keep this to a pretty tight 30 minutes to be respectful of your time, but we're going to have an open Q&A at the end. Of course, use the chat heavily throughout this, just as questions come to mind. We'll have people paying attention to that to answer your questions, and then we'll get to the big ones at the end as well. And if we need to stay on a little longer at the end to answer those questions, we're more than happy to do that. So, all right, so who are we? All right, I'm Kenneth Burke. I'm hogging the stage right now. I'm our VP of Marketing here at Text Request. We are a business text messaging platform. Basically, what we do is we add texting tools to your office landline phone number so that you can text with your customers or employees or whomever and actually get a response. So that's me. Jess, if you want to intro yourself as well.
Yeah, sure. My name is Jess Olenek. I work on our customer success team here at Text Request. So any onboarding, any trainings that you guys have been a part of, that's my team. We're always happy to help you guys answer any questions, and looking forward to this.
And then Sean, tell us a little bit about you and Authvia.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ken and Text Request for having us today. A little bit about Authvia. We are a conversational commerce platform. So what we do is we help facilitate your text request experience and process the payment through to your gateway. So yeah, nice. Back to you, Ken.
All right, yeah, well, I'm just going to send it right back to you. So we just want to talk about what payments is, what TexttoPay is, kind of how does it work high level. So if you want to dive into that for us.
Perfect. Yeah, as I was talking about a second ago, we are a conversational commerce platform. What that means to you as a Text Request customer is you have your texting platform through Text Request. We are the intermediary or the software piece that takes that payment conversation, transfers it to your customer in a clean and concise way, and then pushes it into your bank account. Ken, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why have text at all? That's a great question. So
yeah, you want the numbers?
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah. So the people that avoid phone calls, we all know the story, and it's the old adage story of, we don't have, you don't have good conversations with your customers, anything like that, or they're not answering the phone for you to collect your payments. Emails get lost, social media posts, everything like that. So you have to figure out cool ways and new innovative ways to connect to your customer base. So go ahead. No, back to you.
Yeah. So texting, I mean, the fast and short of it is texting works, right? So if you spend all day calling people who don't answer and you're leaving voicemail and hoping that they pay attention to it, maybe they do, maybe they don't, or you're sending direct mail that ends up in a stack of all the other mail on a counter for 3 months and then gets thrown in the trash. Texting is actually going to get through to people. Typically, every message is going to be seen. It's typically going to be seen within a couple of minutes, and it's very actionable, right? So somebody, consumers, customers, however you want to label them, people are used to these kind of engagements on their smartphones. They're used to interacting with businesses and doing all sorts of things. And so it just fits really cleanly into that day in the life, if you will. And then they can take action right there. They can get it done, and then they can forget about it until maybe next month when you request a payment again. So, John, was there anything you want to add there?
Nope, that is perfect.
All right. If you have any questions about that, of course, again, stick something in the chat. We're happy to talk about it. So why use payments? Sean, go for it.
Yep. So when we talk about using text to pay or conversational commerce, it's truly a contactless payment flow, right? So from the minute you ask for the money or your payment to the minute your customer pays, it's contactless all the way through. Speeding up your cash flow. So we give you the ability to send out those requests and meet the customer where they want to be met and let them pay on their terms. That speeds up the cash flow and the transaction. You don't have to worry about customers or clients coming into the office. When we talk about decreased overhead and minimum security risks, we do handle all PCI compliance on our end through our modern tokenization practices. And there's also no need for physical hardware for text requests. So if you have a cell phone and a computer to send the text from, you're good to go. And customers want these experiences. So we've recently polled customers, and 83% of our customers are telling us they want to pay by phone or in a new way of paying. So replacing invoices, that's a common use case we see all the way across. Take away the physical mailed invoices, make everything fast and easy. Phone and text sales are easy, so it allows you to send quick transactions. Case in point, if you're on the phone with a customer asking for a payment, instead of collecting a card over the phone, the PCI compliance issues there, you can simply send a nice and convenient message to the customer via text message. They can pay there through the link. Also, you have the ability to prepay for appointments and post-appointment. Customer comes in, you can ask for payment right there on the spot through a text message, or after the appointment, you can ask for a payment as well.
All right, so the fun part, we're going to get into how it works. We're going to show you a demo. So Jess, if you want to take it away, I'll stop sharing my screen. You can share yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Kenneth. Let's see if it'll let me. Can everybody see my screen? Perfect. All right, everybody. So if you're not familiar with text requests, I know some of you may be, but if you're not, this is what a text request dashboard will look like. So all of the messages that you receive and the conversations that you're having are going to appear in this dashboard. And this is where you're able to send out those payment requests. So like Sean was saying, there's quite a few different use cases that our customers are currently using payment requests for. So a big one of those is like post-appointment payment. So they're sending out payment requests to people after an appointment, and those people are able to then complete that payment request, and they're doing that all through their text messaging. So they're not having to go to any payment portals or having to take their card inside. So it's a really streamlined process. And the way that that works, let's pull up a little PDF for you guys, little image. The very first thing that your customers and consumers are going to see is they're going to receive a message from you, and then they're able to click on a link that opens up a portal to where they're able to enter their card or bank information. They're going to see a few things here. So they're going to see the amount that's requested from you. They're going to see if there's any invoice numbers, that's all going to be listed there for them. And then they're able to also see what exactly the payment request was for. And those are all things that you're going to be able to enter whenever you send out that payment request. So when you're inside of a conversation thread with that consumer, you're able to open up that message box. So again, if you're familiar with text requests, this is something that you're doing already on a daily basis. There's a $sign icon here. And when I click on that, I'm opening up a payment request. So I'm able to enter that amount requested that we just saw in that payment portal, the description of product and services. People typically keep this pretty short. So if you're a vet's office, it'll say something like a nail trim for your dog or cat or something to that nature. This reference ID number that I mentioned, this is where you could add any invoice numbers, and then of course a message that's optional. So thanks for coming in, thanks for stopping by. And then I'll cover a little bit more on this convenience fee here in a little bit. Another great thing about this payment request feature is that you can schedule these to go out at a later date or time. So if you wanted to go ahead and schedule a payment request to go out for after that customer's appointment or something like that, you're able to do so. So I'm going to jump right back up to this image. Your consumer has received that link from you. They've opened up the portal. They are able to complete that payment. They're going to then receive a second message once that transaction's gone through. And that's going to be another link that opens up to a receipt to let them know that they've paid. So that full process, you know, a couple of steps, maybe 3 steps for that consumer. So then they're not having to, again, call and pay over the phone or come in and pay in person, which is really nice. What we're loving is that if it's the second or third or any additional times that you're sending out a payment request to a consumer, Authvia has the ability to allow for them to respond back with just a unique 4-digit code. So then any additional time that you send out a payment request to your consumers, they're not going to have to go in and enter that card information or that bank information every single time that you send them a payment request. So that helps, one, build that relationship with your customer. Everything is so much more streamlined. And once they respond with that 4-digit code that you're requesting in the message that you've sent with that payment request, then we're going to say, got it, your transaction's processing. That's an automated message. And then that second automated message that opens up to a receipt for that customer. So that's the full process of sending a payment request, what it looks like on the consumer's end. And where you're able to track this is actually in this payments dashboard. So when I click here under payments, we have that $ icon, of course. We're going to see a full payments dashboard here. I have a couple of little training transactions. And if, again, you are using text request already, your account may be in training mode, and you can go ahead and start sending some of these training transactions and not use any real money, which is really nice. But you have a button here to send out a payment request. This does not have anybody's name or number already filled in for you, so you can go ahead and just enter in any cell phone number, any mobile number, and go ahead and proceed with that payment request. And then you can track that full payment request history. You have a couple of different status options. Of course, if somebody's paid, that's going to be marked as paid. That's somebody who has completed that transaction. And then I have a couple of other statuses here. So one that's past due, you actually have the ability to set up some payment terms so that for you and your business, if it makes sense that something's marked as past due after, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you can set that up. So if I send a payment request from my dashboard, after 3 days, that's going to be marked as past due in my dashboard here. So I have that past due status. And if I click here, I have a couple of different options to proceed. So I can send a reminder. That's an automated message. It's just going to let that consumer know that they have a payment request that is, I guess pending would be the word. Not exactly sure, but they have a payment request that they need to complete. You have the ability to mark something as paid. So let's say somebody receives that payment request from you. They're not really sure what to do. They can call you, pay over the phone, something like that. And then you can mark that as paid just if somebody else takes that. And then you can, of course, cancel that payment request. The last thing I want to show you guys is under this payment settings. We were just here. This is where you can set up those payment terms. This is also where you can set up any convenience fees. So Sean's going to get into some fees and things in just a few minutes, but a convenience fee is really nice because any fees that you guys might see while using this feature through your processors, you're able to kind of offset that with our convenience fee. And the way that we like to explain that is this is the convenience to be able to pay over text. And that's a flat fee that you can set here in these settings. And then, of course, you can adjust this friendly name. This is something that will appear on that portal when they go to, your consumers go to enter in their card or bank information. And lastly, the most fun part to me, you can set up a brand color. And this is nice. It's just going to show up that color, whatever you choose to go behind the portal where people are entering in their card information and their receipts. So you can make that match your business and everything will look really pretty. But that's all I have. Back to you, Kenneth. I will stop my share.
Thank you, Jess. And of course, anybody who had a question about that, please toss it in the chat. I see we got one there, but I'll just go back to the slide deck. We'll talk about features and costs, some of those details. All right, Sean, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kenneth. So when we talk about the card industry standards, I talked about it and I touched on it earlier today. We do have that PC1 level 3 compliance for you, so you don't have to worry about having PCI compliance in the offices. As far as the real-time payment notifications, so again, to the reporting piece that Jess was talking about, you are notified real time when your payment has been approved by the customer and it's in your account. So you can then move the funds around as you need to. That mobile security piece and the Authvia wallet, I want to talk about that. That is PC1 level. That's that PCI compliance. As far as the mobile security goes, that Authvia wallet, that is a patented piece of our technology where it allows your consumer to go through and pay through that 4-digit code once they're established within our system. So that gives you an ability for the customer not to have to enter in through a microsite their card information time after time. They can simply talk to you through text message and accept the payment through text. And then that live reporting again and dashboard, that's on Jess's end, and I'll turn it back over to her.
Sorry, I was trying to get unmuted. Yes, the live reporting and dashboard, that was the very last thing that we were looking at when I was sharing my screen. So that was the page where you're able to track the statuses of those payment requests, and then you can send reminders, mark things as past due, things like that. That is also something you can export, which is really nice, to a CSV.
Yeah, great point there, Jess. And now for everybody's favorite piece, we can talk about the money. Take it,
so
Sean.
I'll take this piece. So the payments, that is included on your text request plan. So there is no startup fee. There's no additional fee to your actual text request plan in any way. Your transaction fees, that's going to vary by your processor and your agreements with each individual processor. Typically, what we see on our end, our fees are very low. Again, on our end, when you want to say, I want to do TexttoPay, or I want to do text payments through text request, our fees are very low. There's no startup fees at any point in time. You can bring your own processor typically, and typically, if you use our processor, which is powered through Authvia Payments, it's 2.9% and 30 cents per transaction. If you bring your own processor, typically we see fees as low as 5 cents per message request sent and 35 cents per transaction.
So then a basic recap of that, and this has gone by very quickly, very smoothly. So love that for everybody here. But basically, our payments feature through text messaging is a secure way to request and collect payments. It creates a much better customer experience. It can also create a better experience for you as the business. And there's a couple of use cases, since we've got the time, I actually want to highlight a little bit more that I personally enjoy. And maybe Jess and Sean have a couple they want to include as well. And then third, it's included on all of your text request plans. So if you are already a customer of ours or user, there's no additional fee you have to worry about. You don't necessarily have to go through a whole nother, buying process or approval. We really encourage you to get in there, start at least with the training mode, see how it is, try it out a few times, see how your customers react to it. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And there's a few use cases that I particularly like. One is for credit card declines. So if you happen to already have an existing customer on a recurring auto pay, eventually their credit card is going to expire, they're going to get a new card, something's going to happen. I think this is a great way to very quickly reach out to them and get updated information, which is a lot better than just losing that customer and all of that revenue that comes with them, right? Another option, something I really appreciated, talking about requesting payments either pre-appointment or post-appointment. Think about particularly home services or even going back to vet services, right? So I have something I know I need done. Maybe it's some plumbing work or landscaping or house cleaning. I know that person's going to want to be paid before they come out, perhaps to check something out, or they're going to want to be paid whenever they are done with it, and I may not be there at all whenever the service is done, right? And so they can just say, hey, we just completed this. Here's a picture of what we did to show you, right? and then we are requesting payment and we're getting that, in real time. So those are a couple that I like. I don't know if Jess or Sean, if you want to throw in any of your own.
Yeah, I know on my end, vet services, when I think about veterinary services, that pre and post appointment piece comes up a lot, Ken. When I take my dog to the vet, you have to go in, you have to pay, and now they have a text service, right? So they can go in, I can pay via text before I take Chloe to the vet. And then when I pick her up, I can, make the appointment and pay via text after I pick her up if there's any additional costs.
Yeah, there's a couple that I've been kind of surprised by because this feature has been new to us this year. So I've learned a lot just by talking with our customers. Deposits is kind of a big one. So I know furniture stores are utilizing this feature for deposits on like couches and mattresses and stuff, which is really cool to see. And then we all know COVID has completely changed the way that a lot of us think about going into businesses and the way that we want to interact with others. And so this just offers, a contactless way to accept payments from our consumers, which I think is really nice and important.
Yeah, and I love how it just fits right into the flow with everything else, right? I mean, you're already talking to them through
Absolutely.
messaging, right? And so
Yeah.
it just slips right in there, and I love that.
Gives you a chance to answer any questions that your customers may have. I love it.
So that's the bulk of it. I don't know if there's anything last points, Jess or Sean, that you want to add, or I'll jump in the chat, and see what we have going on here. All right. One question: does this work in Canada?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It does. We do have the ability to work in Canada, and we have a full list of processors. It looks like Kat that she sent out, and we can definitely follow up to answer that question directly if need be.
And yes, there will be a recording of this sent out to everybody. So last chance for questions. If not, we'll just say, thank you. It's a great time. Obviously, if you want to reach out to us about getting this going, here, let me share our screen again so you can see that info. If you do not already have an Authvia or a text request rep designated to you, you can reach out, contact us any way that's convenient for you, basically, and we'll be very quick to respond and happy to help you out.